Rati prasangascha tada ashrayeshu Mahatsu yam yam upayami shrishtim Maitri yastu sarvatra namo dvijobhaya. So word to word. Punha, again. Cha, and. Bhuyat, let it be. So it says punha. It means if I am to take birth again, punha. Let it be, I don't even care about that. So it's almost referring to the last verse. It is almost referring to the verse Janmani Janmishware Bhavatat Bhaktir Aituki Tvai. Same mood. So I don't care about liberation. Punascha Bhuyat. And then Maharaj Parikshit continues. Bhagavati onto Lord Sri Krishna, Anante, who has unlimited potency, and Rati, as we all know, is attracting. So, this is what I want, Maharaj Parikshit says. Let my consciousness, even if I take birth again, let my consciousness be attracted to the Supreme Lord with unlimited potency. So that's the meditation. So unlimited potency means Lord, Supreme Lord is unlimited everywhere. His beauty is unlimited. His kindness is unlimited. His compassion is unlimited. He's strong, intelligent, renounced. So that is a meditation Maharaj Parikshit is having on Krishna. So that means unlimited. That is Rati. So getting attracted to that unlimited potency. And that's not what all he wants. The next thing Maharaj Parikshit is asking for is prasangas, which means association. Cha, also. Tad, his. Now, when we say his, Maharaj Parikshit is referring back to Bhagavati Anante, which means I want his ashrayeshu. Ashrayeshu means those who are his devotees. So Maharaj Parikshit is seeking shelter of Lord Krishna's, who has got unlimited potency. He's seeking the shelter of his devotees. And that is what Maharaj Parikshit wants, their association. And then what Maharaj Parikshit also wants is Mahatsu, within the material creation, yam yam, wherever, upayami, I may take, shrishtim, my birth. So wherever I take my birth in the material world, so Maharaj Parikshit is not demanding or expecting to be freed from any sort of material existence. He's saying, even if I'm to take birth again in this material world, I want these three things. What are those three things? We've already discussed. We want attraction of Krishna. He wants association of devotees. And the third thing that he wants is Maitri, which is friendly relations. Ashtu, let it be. Sarvatra, everywhere. So amongst Sarvatra, amongst all the living entities, let me have no enmity. Let me, on the other hand, have great positive relationships with everybody and be well-wishers with them. So Maharaj Parikshit is also showing a lot of compassion for the living entities. And towards the end, the last two words are Namaha Dvijabhaya. So Namaha is my obeisances and Dvijabhaya is onto the Brahmanas. Let's read the translation. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Again offering obeisances unto all you Brahmanas, I pray that if I should take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna, association with his devotees, and friendly relations with all living beings. So three things have been highlighted. It's a short purport. Would anybody like to read it? That's okay. I can continue. Yes, Prabhu, please.
That a devotee of the Lord is the only perfect living being is explained herein by Maharaj Parikshit. A devotee of the Lord is no one's enemy, although there may be many enemies of a devotee. The Lord does not like to associate with non-devotees, although he has no enmity with them. He desires association with the devotees of the Lord. This is perfectly natural because the birds of the same feather mix together. And the most important function of a devotee is to have complete attachment for Lord Sri Krishna, the Father of all living beings. As a good son of the Father behaves in a friendly way with all other brothers, so also the devotee of the Lord, being a good son of the Supreme Father, Lord Krishna, sees all other living beings in relation with the Supreme Father. He tries to bring back the upstart sons of the Father to a saner stage and to get to them to accept the Supreme Fatherhood of God. Maharaj Parikshit was certainly going back to Godhead, but even if he were to go back, he prayed for a pattern of life which is the most perfect way in the material world. A pure devotee does not desire the company of a personality as great as Brahma, but he prefers association of a petty living being, provided he is a devotee of the Lord. Harekrishna Mataji, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Om Jnana Tiramdasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvai Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyadi Paschata Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So we can see this verse is a very instructive verse. Maharaj Parikshit, he is nearly the end of his life. He could have asked for anything, and he's, as the purport says, is certainly going to attain, liberation. But instead, he is praying for three things: attachment to Krishna, association of devotees, and friendliness of all beings. And there are many more key points that are linked to these three main points that have been highlighted in the purport. So it's a very instructive verse, instructive purport, and every sentence in itself is giving us a direct instruction which is applicable in our day-to-day life. The very first point that we can note is that a devotee is truly perfect. So Maharaj Parikshit, through his actions, is showing that is showing that a devotee of the Lord is the only perfect living being because of his pure consciousness and relationship with the Supreme. So the perfection of a living being is determined by the consciousness that a person has. And the devotee is meant to have the perfect consciousness. The perfection lies not in the material accomplishments, but in the relationship with the Lord. For example, we know the story, the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj. As a young 5-year-old saintly devotee, he was born in a family filled with asuras. His father, Hiranyakashipu, was the most powerful demon in the universe at that point in time. And Hiranyakashipu completely disliked Lord Vishnu. But despite being surrounded by those demoniac people, Prahlad Maharaj is one of the best devotees of the Lord because of his consciousness. He was completely attracted to the Lord and his qualities. He was completely trusting the Lord, and he had a complete faith in the Lord. The next highlighted point in the purport is a devotee has no enmity, right? He has no enemies. There might be some people who think devotees as enemies, but a devotee will have no enemies. But a devotee, though he does not have enemies, he is very careful about choosing his association. And why is a devotee careful when he's choosing association? Because we want to, as devotees, want to preserve our spiritual focus and integrity. Right? Because when we are surrounded with similar-minded people, that's the qualities we're going to embark. Once a devotee asked Srila Prabhupada how to deal with atheistic people. Srila Prabhupada said, we don't hate anyone. We hate ignorance, not the person. I'll repeat that. We hate ignorance, not the person. The soul is pure but covered. Right? Now that's a lesson for each one of us. We don't have enmity towards anybody, but we only have compassion for the people who are suffering around us. And we have a strong desire, at least we need to cultivate that. We need to cultivate a desire where we can uplift the people around us and we can understand the struggles and the suffering around us. There are so many people out there in the world who are waiting for this spiritual compassion that Maharaj Parikshit is asking for. Right? Harinam and other preaching activities are an example. Everybody has to be Each one of us have to be involved in some sort of preaching activity, because that helps us to develop spiritual compassion. Coming to the temple is great, going internal is amazing, but at some stage we need to get out of that. We need to go out in the world and preach, because that helps us to develop a spiritual compassion. Every time I go on Valley Harinam, you come back, and it's the story with each devotee who has gone there. You come back with your hearts filled. Right? Valley is such a place where we can see people who are completely in the mode of ignorance. Right? So yes, we are distributing the holy name to them, which is of the highest benefit, but we also start to value of what we have. And what we have is something really amazing, something very, very precious. And we are very privileged to have that. And we should not take this lightly. Yes, we don't pay any, dollars for it, but it's the most precious thing that we can have. Another thing that Srila Prabhupada highlights in the purport is that devotees naturally seek the association of like-minded souls. Birds of same feather flock together. Because whatever association we keep, we gradually become like that. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself said, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastre Koe, Lava Matra Sadhu Sanghe, Sarve Siddhi Hoy. All the scriptures declare that even a moment's association with a pure devotee can grant all perfection. The four Kumaras were liberated from birth. But when they came to Vaikuntha, what happened? When they associated with Lord's personal devotees, their hearts became overwhelmed with bhakti. And even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has declared, I do not desire wealth, followers, or beauty, but let me have the companies of your devotees birth after birth. There is so much joy when we associate with devotees. Association with devotees does not mean we are with devotees and we are gossiping and we are doing something else. So real association is when we discuss Krishna Katha. That is the real association. It is not chilling out. It is not just going to a restaurant and eating. That's not association. Association is when we sit together, do some kirtan, talk about Krishna, discuss our spiritual problems, discuss material problems, and get spiritual solutions for our material problems. That is real association. And ultimately, what that leads to, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, it leads to complete attachment to Lord Krishna. The primary duty of a devotee is to cultivate unwavering attachment to Lord Krishna, who is the universal Father. Right? And that is the core purpose of human life. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Shishashkam says, Aslishya va padaratam pinashtumam aldarshanam marmahato karotuva. Even if you embrace me, so this is Lord Chaitanya saying to Krishna, even if you embrace me or make me broken-hearted by not appearing before me, still you are my Lord, birth after birth. So we don't expect anything from Krishna. We don't expect, oh Krishna, I'm taking your name, you need to appear before me. Help me solve my problems. No, our expectation is, our only lifeline is, you are my Lord, birth after birth. And that is unconditional attachment. Right? A devotee sees everybody as his family. It says in the purport, the words are, just as a good son takes care of all his siblings, a devotee sees every being as related through the Supreme Father, Lord Krishna. Once during a morning walk, devotees noticed that Srila Prabhupada is carefully stepping over an ant. A devotee asked, Prabhupada, why such care for a tiny little insect? Srila Prabhupada replied, he is also a child of Krishna. Why unnecessarily trouble him? So devotees don't just take care of people around them. Devotees take care of everybody, because everybody, including animal, plants, every living entity, is a child of Krishna, is our sibling. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, it says, the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. We see a devotee, or at least we are cultivating the habit to seeing everybody with an equal vision. And as I said earlier, we don't dislike someone, we only dislike the ignorance within them. So we don't hate anybody. And ultimately, everything is to act for others' spiritual welfare. A devotee works to bring others back to a God conscious life. Right? We live in an age where everything is self centered. We talk about self care, self discipline. It's it's everything is so much about I, and self. But in the final days, Maharaj Parikshit, who is ready to depart from the world, he sits by the Ganges to hear Mahakrishna's glory. He is gathered by sages and lot of spiritual seekers, and he is listening to Srimad Bhagavatam so others too could benefit. So that is such an important lesson from Maharaj Parikshit, that even at the doorstep of death, he is considering how his actions will spiritually uplift everybody. He is working for the spiritual welfare of everybody. Right? Once in New York, Srila Prabhupada was asked by a reporter, Swamiji, why have you come to America? Srila Prabhupada smiled and he replied, I have come to remind you of your forgotten relationship with Krishna. Who is your eternal father? You're not American, you're not Indian, you're not African. You are all spirit souls, sons of God. Just as a rich man's sons might forget his father and live a life of a beggar, you have forgotten Krishna and you're suffering in this material world. So Srila Prabhupada came to the West to only remind us of that. And Srila Prabhupada continued, I have not come to take anything from you. I have come to give you the highest thing, love of God. And that is my mission. Srila Prabhupada, every time he signed his letter, what did he say? Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. He did not look at the name, oh, I'm writing a letter to my devotee. That's when I'm a well-wisher. He wrote letters to so many people, so many politicians, so many people who were envious of him. He wrote letters to everybody. But his signature was always your ever well-wisher, because he cared for everybody. And that perfectly, Srila Prabhupada's life actually perfectly parallels with the life of Maharaj Parikshit in a lot of ways. Complete attachment to Krishna, eager for devotee association, seeing everybody, working for spiritual welfare. Right? When I was going through, as I was reading, the other point that was highlighted in the purport was a devotee values devotee association over high status. Right? There is nothing about status. Nectar of instruction, we can see in text too, it's better to associate with the devotee, however insignificant, than janasangas, non-devotees, however important. Otherwise, what's going to happen? Bhakti vinashyati, which means our bhakti gets destroyed when we are in too much of association of non-devotees. So it's about giving association and taking association. When we are out there preaching, we give, our association. When we are surrounded by devotees, there's a give and take amongst peers. Among seniors, we take their association. Right? Srila Prabhupada once said, a guest was boasting about his influential connections. And Srila Prabhupada said, better to be a street sweeper if one is a devotee of Krishna than a king who forgets God. One Srila Prabhupada said to a proud businessman, I see you not as a millionaire, but as a servant of Krishna. So, right, so that is an important lesson. And as I was preparing for this class, I came across Bhurujan Prabhu's class on this particular verse, which basically Bhurujan Prabhu is highlighting a pastime of Akrura, the Vrindavan pastime from 10th Canto. I won't get into the whole pastime because it's quite a lengthy, in-depth pastime. But just to get the crux and how it connects to what we are reading today. So this is a time when the mood in Mathura was really heavy, because there was Kamsa, everyone was getting suffocated by the troubles that he had created. But when Krishna entered that city, the fear completely vanished. The citizens of Mathura rushed to see him. All the ladies left their duties, the brahmanas started chanting auspicious mantras, and the cowherd boys who came from Vrindavan started exploring Mathura. But something extraordinary happened at that point in time. While many Mathura residents were eagerly coming out to see Krishna on the street, there was a florist by the name of Sudama. Now, this florist Sudama did not come out of the house, he stayed in the house. Now, Sudama, the backstory is Sudama used to go to Vrindavan regularly to get the rare flowers that Vrindavan had, but that was not just his only intention. He would go there to see Krishna. And on the pretext of collecting a lot of flowers, he would go to where Krishna played and offered him flowers as a gift. Now, while all the people of Mathura were coming out to take darshan of Krishna, Sudama, seated in his house, was making garlands for the Lord. Now, just as a devotee is eager to serve the Lord is also equally eager to receive devotee service. So now Krishna started asking about the whereabouts Sudama's house because they wanted to go and see Sudama. Now, when Sudama saw Krishna and Balaram, suddenly Sudama was overwhelmed with happiness and gratitude, and he obviously paid obeisances, and then he was complete lover of the Lord, right? So he said, "Please order me, Krishna, and your servant is here to do whatever you wish. Please tell me what needs to be done." To be engaged by you in some service is certainly a great blessing for anyone. That's what he said. And then Krishna and Balaram expressed the desire for garlands. And he joyfully offered the garlands, which were, half done. He completed them. He offered them. And then Krishna asked him, "What do you desire? I can give you anything." At that moment, now this is very important. At that moment, the simple florist from Mathura asks for exactly the same three things that Maharaj Parikshit is desiring at the moment of death, and what Maharaj Parikshit is actually asking in this particular verse. The florist, the simple Mathura guy. So we have a simple florist on one end, and we have king on the death at the moment, a moments away from death on the other hand. They both are desiring for exactly the same thing. And what did the florist say? He prayed, "I want unwavering devotion to you, attachment and friendship to your devotees, and transcendental compassion for all living beings." Exactly the three things, same three things. Isn't that remarkable? At two different moments, exactly the three things have been asked. Because these people that we are discussing are not ordinary people. They are the greatest souls who prayed for exactly the same three things. It shows us that the truly perfected heart desires not just for wealth, not for fame, not for mystic power, but for Krishna's love for his devotees, and kindness to all souls. And these are not just the stories of the past, even in our modern times, right? Even there are people around us, the sannyasis around us, Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they have embodied exactly the same mood. And I'm going to end today. I'm going to spend a good few minutes discussing one of my favorite spiritual heroes, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami, disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Now, when he was terminally ill towards the end with cancer, he wrote he wrote many books, right? In a series of books called Beggars. And he wrote many reflections in those books. And one of the reflections that he wrote was called Cancer, an Offering of Tough Love. And in his final days, Bhakti Tirtha Swami completely personified with Lord Chaitanya's mood of unconditional devotion. I'm going to read a reflective part from his particular book. Please pay special attention. I know everyone's busy, but please pay special attention because I've read this again and again, and every time I've read this, there's a lot of emotions that you go through, spiritual emotions. So it's an important it's an important part. It's very dear to me. So he says, my dear cancer cells. So it's a long one. I've just picked up few paragraphs. He says, my dear cancer cells. So he's talking to the cells in his body. And he says, you are a messenger who brings honest, accurate, bad news should not be faulted, even though the truthful news is unpalatable. A messenger has the duty to deliver the precise message. You have done a very good job as a courier. The message has reached its destination. I have received it in full and am acting upon it with intense haste and gravity. This wake-up call has helped me to look closer at Lord Chaitanya's last prayer. So this is something we've also discussed earlier. I'll repeat it. Aslishya va padaratam pinastu mam ardarshanam marmahatam karotu va yatha tata va vidadatu lampato mat prana nathastu sa eva naparaha. I know no one except Krishna as my Lord, and he will always remain as such, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord unconditionally. My beloved Cancer, you must also die. You either die with me or before me, but neither of us can remain forever in these hellish bodies. So there is no longer any need for us to be enemies, for our ultimate outcome with material nature is the same. It destroys us. This is a time of giving thanks, for I am so appreciative of so many wonderful things you have brought to me. Remember, he's talking to his cancer cells. Now you must die, and I must also eventually die. In both of our cases, our time is very limited. Therefore, once again, I want to send you love and appreciation for all the wonderful things you have added to my life. Especially today, I send my love to you, the Cancer. For after all, God does not make mistakes, and he arranges everything for our benefits. I, the lowly beggar, again thank you, Cancer cells, for offering me tough love. Bhakti Tirtha Swami. And this is a beautiful letter from his book, The Beggar, 4th. So we can see even how a life-threatening illness was viewed as Krishna's arrangement, a messenger bringing a vital reminder, his reflection culminating in the same mood as Maharaj Parikshit, no fear, no complaints, only gratitude and intensified attachment for Krishna. Right? Just to end, just to summarize everything that we have discussed today, the hallmarks, it's almost the hallmarks of a perfect devotee. No enmity, even with the enemies, no enmity. Preferring devotee association, complete attachment to Krishna. Seeing everybody as families, choosing humble devotee company over high status. Right? So these are the 5 points that are quite nicely highlighted today. And thing to take or a reflection that we can ponder upon today would be, or we can think about is, what's one quality amongst these 5 qualities that I've just said? What is that one quality that we can actually cultivate this week? No enmity, even with the enemies, preferring devotee association, attachment to Krishna, seeing everybody as family, choosing humble devotee association over high status. What quality would we like to cultivate? Maybe like Maharaj Parikshit, Srila Prabhupada, and Bhakti Tirtha Swami aspired for Krishna's attachment, the shelter of his devotees, and universal compassion. Maybe that's what we want to cultivate. Thank you so much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. If you have any questions, corrections, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for such a beautiful class this morning. It's really, really informative.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Virat Krishna, you were saying something?
Well, thank you so much, Mataji, for a wonderful class and nice reflections. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Have a blissful Tuesday. We will see you again tomorrow. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
की जय। स्नेह भक्ति माता जी की जय।
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. That's
Mataji.
wonderful, wonderful class.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mata.